Here at the Houston Fieldhouse, they get ready to reopen conference play here at the beginning of January 2023, and they do so with a battle against the Colgate University Raiders. Alongside the coach Dan Fridgen, Dan Ball with you here on ESPN+. Coach, a very happy new year to you, and what better way to start the new year than with RPI Engineers hockey and ECAC hockey play at the Houston Fieldhouse. The RPI Engineers, a little bit of work to do in conference play to get into striking distance in the playoffs in a few months.
No question. Looking forward to getting back to some college hockey here at Houston Fieldhouse, and it's not even cold out yet.
I think you brought some of the weather from your California Western trip there back with you when you came back, but that seems to be the way. But the Engineers getting ready to go here on home ice. Your expectations, first game back in conference play for the Engineers now after some time away. Had some time to play outside of the conference, a weekend against Bowling Green, but again, still some work to be done. Your expectations here tonight?
Yeah, well, RPI is coming off a tough December. I think they were rolling 4 in December, and of course, Colgate, they're the opposite. They were 3-1 in December, so RPI's just got to get back to playing their game, and now it's back to ECAC, and where everything counts.
Back to ECAC play, which is underway now as the Engineers go from right to left across your screen, kept in at the line as the Raiders will go from left to right. In their away maroon jerseys, and it's controlled by Verboon in maroon. He sends it back to the point for Irwin, cross point, deflected around Bergslin there by Brendan Booty, who got a stick on that puck. Strom will knock it back to the center line. It's Gagnon, Lee, and Booty, the top line for Dave Smith's group on the ice to begin things, with Smolinski and Strom, Jack Watson in the goal. Top line of Alex DePaulo, Matt Verboon, and Ross Mitten on the ice for Don Vaughn's group. Reed Irwin, Tommy Bergslin on defense, and Carter Geilander in the net once more. All but one decision so far this season has gone to Carter Geilander, draft pick of the Detroit Red Wings. So far on the season, 9-8-2, a .231 save percentage. 231 goals against average, .923 save percentage. See, it's the first game for everybody here. That one goes off the near side boards, but no icing as Anthony Stark goes into the corner, tries to grab that one away. Here is Beaton below the goal. Looks for a centering feed, gets all the way back to the point for Surdy. On the near side, flips it towards the net. That one skitters through the crease and wide. Mashi will give chase into that far side corner. Knocked along, however. Nick Belpedio will one-hand it, but a battle ensues now as trying to knock that one away. Walsh was able to knock it free. Now it's Surdy at the near point. Finds some room. Deflected on goal there by Walsh. Save made. Centering feed. Let's try Laurie Surdy again. Surdy goes across for Klee. The pass too far ahead of him, and now a partial break the other way. This one will skitter its way into the far corner. Whipped off the side of the goal. No real threat there for Watson. It's slowed down by Mason Klee just under 2 minutes in, and no score. Stepping along and in, but McGuire has it knocked away. Here is Nikkanen on the far side. Gains the center line, but has it poke-checked off of his stick. Pass bounces its way through center. Levi Glaceman will whip it in deep. Klee goes one-on-one against Alex Young. That shot from the near side there misses wide, and it rebounds its way all the way back out to center. And between Alex Young and his brother Colton, the first and fifth leading scorers on this Colgate team respectively, you're going to hear a lot of the last name Young at one point or another here in this one. Alex, a draft pick of the San Jose Sharks. 21 points in 20 games to begin his season. Skating on the third line, depth chart-wise, as Geilander will glove that shot from Heidemann, but you know, you put your leading scorer on the third line. It appears as though Don Vaughn, a veteran of 30 seasons behind the bench with the Colgate Raiders, looking to spread the offense out a little bit, but this Alex Young kid, pretty darn impressive.
Yeah, he's real good. I mean, he's got a great offensive touch. He's currently leading the ECAC in power play goals with 8, and he's tied for third with points at 21. He also leads the ECAC in goals with 12.
That 8 power play goal marker is also second in the nation right now for Young. The power play as a whole clicking at just under 22%, 25th in the nation. So, again, when they're scoring on the power play, it's more than likely him. Near side, one-handed along. Booty trying to inch that one along the near side boards. Stepping in to keep it in for the moment there was DePaulo, but it rebounds its way back out to Bergslin, who was waiting for it right over the center line.
I think the last time we saw these two teams play was back in early October as they played that scrimmage game, and I think the Youngs were playing on the same line that game.
I'm sure that's something that gets used from time to time. Brought in near side by Lee, whipped off. Geilander makes the save. Booty is able to knock it along. Now it rebounds its way back below the goal. Stepping to find it there is Belpedio. He's battling for it, but it's stolen away by John Evans. Evans trying to find a little bit of room. It gets knocked free for Booty. Evans was trying to show, hey, I'm not holding Belpedio on my way through, and possibly trying to get a call out of the matter. Was unsuccessful. Here is Strom on the far side. Nick Strom scored the first goal in that scrimmage that Dan Fridgen was mentioning. It ended up being a 4-2 loss for the Engineers here on home ice. It was the first of 2 games that weekend, a scrimmage against Colgate and then an exhibition against the University of Toronto. The only thing I knew about Dan Fridgen at that point was that we shared the same first name. Past that, it was still pretty new at that point. Knocked into the far corner, now battling for it is Jack Brackett. Brackett gets it free for Beaton on the backhand, and a save made by Geilander. The rebound carried out to center there by Glaceman, one-handed along. Good defensive play there by Jack Agnew, who is spilled to the ice, however. 2 players were going in and trying to find that puck. The Raiders are able to gain possession. To the point, on goal from Anderson. He missed along the near side. Going and giving chase on that one is Daniel Panetta. Trying to make some room now is Massey in his own end. Did not see Ryan Massey in that series against Bowling Green, so the lines after the series in the following week were mixed up a little bit. Off the far side glass, Massey giving chase, but the Raiders able to regain possession. Knocked over the defensive blue. Dylan Davies will step up and separate his man from the puck. Going for it there was LaBelle. Hallbauer now in his own end. The Engineers captain along the near side. A backhand from Walsh goes through the neutral zone on the stick of Davies, who will whip it off the boards in front of the Colgate Raiders bench and all the way in deep. Stepping in there is Hallbauer. Gets it along the near corner. A couple of maroon sweaters there to knock that puck free. Mazzotti battling for it. Gets it down low for Heidemann. Sutter Mazzotti has been on quite the tear for the Engineers of late, riding a 6-game point streak, 9 points in total during that time. Pulled himself into a lead on the team in terms of assists, so he's been setting up plays just as much. Here's the trailer Klee. In front, save Geilander, and the rebound there is none, as the Raiders netminder is able to stand tall on a nice move from Mason Klee.
Oh, that was a great play by Nikkanen over there. He just delayed enough, turned towards the boards, bought some time, waited for some support. There's Klee coming into the picture in the slot. Makes a good move, goes with a forehand. Had he got that puck up, there was room above the glove of Geilander.
Carter Geilander is able to make the save. Shots unofficially 6-0 in favor of the Engineers in the early going, as we're just under 6 minutes gone by opening period here in Troy. No score. The Engineers come in with a record of 7-11-1. The Raiders 9-9-2 so far on the season. Glaceman's pass through the middle ends up skittering its way back to the point. Anderson on the near side will whip it back in deep. Glaceman once more. To the point. Anderson on goal. Blockered away by Watson. Picked up by Gagnon, who whips it through the middle. Picked up by Laurie Surtee, the defender in. Lee tried to corral that puck. Ended up sending himself offside, so he'll regroup and grab it once more. Here is Lee with some patience. Saved by Geilander. The rebound, he lost it. Thought he had it pinned there with the glove against the chest, but unsuccessful in doing so. Knocked along the near side boards. Just over the defensive blue line. Stopped along there by Beaton, but his pass unsuccessful. Stolen away by Evans on a nice move. Makes some room for himself. Tried to get a pass in front for Beaton. That one's knocked away. Beaton now on the far side with some speed. Top of the blue line. Tried to sauce a pass in front for Strom. That got broken up and taken along now as Verboon will send it to the near corner. Agnew's pass stolen away by DePaulo, so he and Nick Strom will battle in the near side corner. Keeping it in there is Stark, too far for Ross Mitten, however. Strom bunts it forward, but DePaulo is the first one on that loose puck. Beaton tried to poke it free. Now it's Verboon. Below the goal, to the point, sent on goal, blocked. Before it got there, blocked right around the top of the circles. A loose puck goes through the crease and wide. Centering feed, they score! Quickly from below the cage, Verboon found DePaulo. And the Colgate Raiders have struck first on the road.
Well, that was just a great play, especially by Verboon. Out in front of the net, DePaulo got knocked right on his keisters. He gets up. Verboon's got it. He finds an open space, gets a shot away, and goes 5-hole on Jack Watson. And the Raiders find themselves up 1-0. Here's another look at it. See, he's down. Puck gets free. Verboon gets it out in front. I thought he was going to stay down, but he gets back up and puts it in the net.
Alex DiPaolo, the 7th goal of the season for him. Sophomore out of Oakville, Ontario, centering the top line for Don Vaughn's group. He breaks the scoreless tie on what was the second shot of the evening for the Raiders, so now the Engineers will play from behind and look to tie the game. In front, whipped on goal there by Mazzotti as Walsh was able to find him. That one's turned aside by Geilander. Knocked out to center and in deep. Watson will go and slow things down. Along the boards, too far for Walsh. That one will roll its way down to the defensive end. That's where Anthony Stark will get it started. His pass a little too far ahead of anybody wearing maroon and white. That one will go for icing against the Raiders, so the faceoff will come in front of Carter Geilander's net with 11:47 to go in period number 1. The Raiders a 1-0 lead here on the road.
And neither of these coaches seem to be worried about any kind of line matchup. I've been paying attention, and they're all over the map. They're not having the same line centers out against each other.
Schreifels goes in for the draw against Panetta this time around. The Raiders were able to grab possession in their own end, but RPI takes it right back. Strom will backtrack. He and Max Smolinski together on the point for Dave Smith's group here. Strom over center. Into the zone near side. Whipped on goal. Blocked into the corner there by Stark. Here is Nikkanen. A backhand feed for Strom, who was still in on the offense, but not enough steam on it. So now Austin Heidemann will cover on what's a partial 3-on-2. Near side shot. Glove saved by Watson. And some shoves in front of Watson's net right past the far side post as the defenseman Anthony Stark stepping in and shoving with Max Smolinski after the save was made by Watson.
Yeah, a little bit of pushing and shover after the whistle there. There's another look at it. Nice shot, low glove save by Watson, saw it all the way.
Watson on the season in 18 games, 7-9-1, a 2.93 goals against average, 8.99 save percentage. It's been a little bit of a rough go for Watson of late, but the Engineers were also able to give him a little bit of a rest outside of conference play as the puck goes out of play. 5 goals against in the last 2 games played for Watson. That was against Princeton, where he made 29 saves, and then against Bowling Green, 27 saves. Watson has been oh so good for the vast majority of the season. Goaltenders will go through slumps of that nature, but getting back into conference play, a little bit of rest, could be just the thing that Jack Watson needed. Backhanded along, now Anderson on goal. That same glove that made the save a few moments ago makes another, and now this time the captain, Kyle Hallbauer, a couple of shoves as he was trying to clear Ethan Manderville from out in front, and eventually Manderville will retreat and get ready for the faceoff.
And that's the thing that jumped out at me as far as the tail of the tape is concerned, is the save percentage for Gielander is 92%. Jack Watson, as you mentioned, is sitting at 89%, but the goals per game allowed for Colgate's 2.4, while for RPI it's 3.26.
Icing is waved off. Colgate leading all of the conference in total save percentage at .919. Geilander, meanwhile, leads the ECAC with 526 saves made this year. That's also 6th best in the nation, as that one's knocked out of play as well. Watson not to be outdone, fourth in the ECAC with 444 on his save ledger. But again, a good, strong goaltender that can really change things and really be the backbone for your team. And I'm sure the Detroit Red Wings are looking at their draft property and going, well, we might have a good one here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that's what it's all about right now in the NHL. It's amazing the goaltenders that have stepped up compared to the goaltenders that you were expecting to do well. And you take a look at where their teams are, and they're struggling right now.
Bracken along the near side will gain center and whip it back below Geilander's net. Brackett now a couple feet further from where he had the puck last. Young tries to start the breakout. It's knocked out to center. Good play there by McGuire to make some space. Here's Ryan McGuire on goal. Save, rebound, and Glaceman was unable to get that shot off on the rebound. But a good play there by Ryan McGuire to at least get a shot off after he had a defender right in his face.
Yeah, it looked like Glaceman just couldn't get that stick free to pull the trigger. Net was wide open.
There's Brackett on the far side, sent on goal, but it's deflected up, and that one will go out of play with 9:56 to go in the opening period here in Troy, on a goal by Alex DePaulo. The Colgate Raiders grabbed a 1-0 lead early on in this first period. We'll step aside and be back with more after this. You're watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+.
It seems like leaders were destined to be so. Born with confidence, blessed with talent, graced with wisdom. That's how they might seem, but it's not how they're made. Leadership takes practice and discipline and critical thinking. It's not a gift, it's a choice, and it starts here. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
For the love of the game, the team, or for two, Recovery Sports Grill. At Recovery Sports Grill, you'll always have courtside seats to exciting live sports coverage. And for outstanding loyalty perks, join our Hall of Fame, Recovery Sports Grill, serving up smiles every season.
Hi, I'm Andy James at Rensselaer Honda, and this is my buddy Bo. Looking to sell your car or truck? We want to buy it. Are you looking for a great used car? We have a huge selection. That's why Rensselaer Honda has been your Honda dealer for 44 years.
Back on ESPN Plus, 1-0, the visiting Colgate Raiders over the homestanding RPI Engineers. I'm Dan Ball, he's Dan Fridgen. This Colgate Raiders team, 19 total players have made it to the NHL, including a player that ended up 4th, I believe, on the career points list as a member of the Raiders. I believe that's one Dan Fridgen.
Yes, imagine that.
A note, if you will, as a player for the Colgate Raiders, your time in the program.
Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, we had an unbelievable coach, the late Terry Slater. And he, you just played for him. That's what type of guy he was. And, in practice, if you beat a defenseman, you got a breakaway, he'd start going 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And he'd be more upset if you didn't score as opposed to the defenseman that gave the breakaway up. So he was great with his philosophy and just let you play the game, and taught me a lot too about the mindset to play on a consistent basis.
Massey a shot and a save made by Geilander. Well, thank you very much for that. Also, it's a lot of great. It's a very great perspective of what is a well-respected program. I mean, for context, RPI and Colgate played each other for the first time in 1915. Deflected by Nikkanen in front. Knocked away there by Geilander. A good tip on the shot from the near side point from Hallbauer. So again, there's a lot of great history in the program, and Don Vaughn is a pillar to that, being in his 30th season. One of the greats to ever do it in college hockey. Third longest tenure among active D1 coaches. Only Rick Gotkin of Mercyhurst, Bob Daniels from Ferris State have longer tenures. In the 30 seasons, 462 victories for Vaughn. So he's been a huge part of that. I know he stepped up. There was one year, as that play goes offside, one year I believe he helped as either the interim athletic director or something in the organizational aspect of the Colgate Raiders. But again, one of the best coaches to do it.
Yes, as a matter of fact, he did step aside. The AD moved on. He filled in the spot, and I think it was Stan Moore that took the interim coaching job. Ended up getting ECAC Coach of the Year, as a matter of fact.
Of course.
But, no, he's been a great ambassador for the school, and certainly has a long time at Colgate, and a lot of excellent players that have come through, and probably the first Colgate guy to win a Stanley Cup, Andy McDonald, with the Anaheim Ducks.
Smolinski will give chase. We have 8 minutes and 20 seconds remaining here in the first period. RPI Engineers and Colgate Raiders, as ECAC hockey play is fully back underway. Lee will go and grab this puck around Balpedio. And in the near corner, here is Lee. Sends it to the far side point for Smolinski. On goal, it got deflected along the way there by Booty. Stolen by Davies. Shot save made. Rebound. Geilander finds that second one as well. And it rolled past the near side post. Good chance for the defenseman. Dylan Davies stepping in to try to get a chance. Speaking of stepping in, there is Smolinski working to keep that puck in as it gets flipped up and out of play.
Yeah, it's too bad Davies. He ended up standing behind the net instead of in front of the net where he might have had the rebound. Take another look at it here. He gets one shot. There's the rebound, gets another one. See how he continues behind the net? Should just get stopping in front of that net, and that's where the puck's going to end up.
Carter Geilander has been busy, as you could see on that great look there from the near corner, how it rolled kind of through all of the paraphernalia and then in front of him to where a third whack might have been able to sneak through a 5-hole. But again, that's hindsight, which is always 20/20. Face off to the left of Geilander is controlled by the Raiders. Flipped out to center, knocked down there by Heidemann out of midair. Knocked along there by Young. It ends up escaping over the blue line, so the Engineers will get a free attempt to exit the zone. They do so successfully. Backhanded the rest of the way there by Brackett. Now Beaton will go in and try to knock his man Berglund off the puck. Centering feed was looking for Brackett, who got bodied out of the way. Allowing for the breakout and Ryan McGuire to whip it off the far side boards and in deep. Alex Young, the first one in there, giving chase for the Raiders. He ends up getting spilled down by Strom. Puck flipped along the near side, and we'll have a stoppage of play as there was a bit of a car crash there between Strom and Young right by the hash marks on the far side. So play is stopped with 7:06 to go in the first period, 1-0 Colgate.
Yeah, I think what happened when the defenseman raised his hand to knock the puck down, it was played by the Colgate forward. That's a hand pass to bring the face-off outside the zone. You mentioned the rivalry. This is the 137th time that the Engineers and the Raiders have met, which is the third most games played against an opponent. Second is St. Lawrence at 154 games, and Clarkson's third at 163 games.
And you want to talk about even during those games that you mentioned, this season series, after again having played games since 1915, separated by 2 wins, 67, 65, and 5. The Engineers in favor all time. They also have a slightly more decided advantage here in Troy. It's a very fun history between these two teams, to where they've also played in a number of different locations throughout the years. Games have been played in Glens Falls, Boston, Lake Placid, and even Albany. Oh God, can you imagine just down the street in Albany? But again, you know, that's the kind of history we're talking about, over a century's worth of games being played. So just a really cool pillar of college hockey, especially here in the Northeast. Here's a shot coming from the far side, blockered away by Watson. That one rebounds up and off the netting behind the net. So the faceoff will come into the Engineers' defensive zone. A good bit of speed there, getting a chance on goal for the Raiders, trying to extend the lead.
And I can remember one particular game at Lake Placid. It was the semifinals of the ECAC championships, which we ended up beating them 2-1. And I think the coach at Princeton, Ron Fogarty, was the captain of the Colgate team at that time, and he's still having nightmares about that one.
Face-off win by the Raiders. Watson will glove that one down. That's true. So being here in Troy, a couple whacks at the alma mater there. I'm sure that never stung too much when you were able to take them down.
No, and we ended up winning the championship, beating Princeton the next night with Coach Don Cahoon. But
Don Toot Cahoon.
Yes.
Oh man, how about that?
Yeah. We had the goaltender though. We had Tamburo. We had a pretty good team. Eric Keeley and a bunch of guys up front, and some solid defensemen led by our captain Adam Bartel.
Here is Lee on the far side. Tried to center a feed for Brackett. That one's broken up and flipped back out to center. Davies off the far side boards. Booty felt the hit coming, so he advanced it as far as Lee, and Lee will do the honors of sending it the rest of the way, allowing his team to go for a change. Just over 5 minutes remaining here in the first, as that one's knocked away, and a good play by Walsh. Massey on the far side. On goal, that one's deflected up and out of play. Deflected off of a stick and out there. Colton Young was able to knock that one out of harm's way. So a face-off coming in front of Carter Geilander, who's been very busy and very good to this point in the first.
Yeah, he's been real solid, square to the puck. Colgate doing a good job getting sticks in the lane, deflected that puck up into the mesh, which I see is back outside the Zamboni room doors.
That was quite the experience. Now you'll have to remind me, was that the last series we did together for the RPI women's program, I believe? As that one's deflected away, picked up by Young. Was that the last time that we had that conversation, I think?
Yes, I think it was.
Beginning of December, it was the RPI women's team. As icing is waved off, Strom was caught a bit off guard by that one. Massey tried to deflect it, but he was below the center line, so that one will go for icing against the Engineers as Pearson Brandon will go back and touch that one up. It was a whole to-do if you weren't joining us for that broadcast. The RPI women's team taking on Princeton on that Friday evening. It was the first weekend in December, and we had a whole stoppage centered around the placement of the netting right over the Zamboni doors. So we got to learn a lot about the various operations here at the Houston Fieldhouse, and well, made for an entertaining little side story as well, as Verboon tries to whip it through the middle, deflected and wide. Walsh will flip it out to center, so Brandon will have to go back and grab the bouncing puck that was whipped off of a referee's skate. Brandon will try it again, however, and be successful as far as Mitten at center, who takes the hit from Brackett, separating the puck. Stepping in there is Cleed, knocked ahead for Mazzotti on the near side. Mazzotti hits the brakes at the top of the circle, sends a feed through for Brackett. Brackett on the far side to the point. Surdy for Klee, who will wheel and shoot through a screen, deflected wide. Surdy picks it up on the far side boards, makes some room for himself, shoots across the grain. He missed the net on the far side, or against the grain that was. Sent out to the line off of the left skate of Klee, who kept it in for the moment, but the Raiders are able to clear. A bouncing puck leads to a partial 2-on-1, led by DePaolo, in front for Mitten, but knocked away by Surdy. Now the Engineers will try to take it the other way. Evans at the center line will send it in on Geilander, who will snap it up with the glove and take a face-off with 3 minutes and 46 seconds to go in the first period, and his team leading by 1.
Well, RPI is getting some good opportunities from the point. They just need to hit the net with the shot. They're getting good traffic in front. They're taking the eyes away of Gielander, but they're not hitting the net. They're shooting it wide. That's probably the most sustained pressure, offensive pressure, either team has had in the last 5 minutes.
Schreifels ties up off the draw. Niekinen's able to knock it free. Hit late along the far side, so now Heidemann will go in and try to find it. On the far side, the Raiders get it as far as the line. Here's Smolinski's shot, save, rebound, loose in front. Schreifels was unable to get a whack at it, but a penalty coming up. It's going to be against the Raiders after RPI was unable to get a shot on that rebound. It's touched up right in front of the Engineers bench. So RPI will get the first power play on either side, and here's a look at how it happened.
Well, you get the shot from the point, and then the rebound comes up, and I don't know where the hook is. Maybe because it was, wait a second. That's just a matter of strength. If his stick is over the other guy's stick right here, that was the hook. Geez, I remember in games, American Hockey League, that happened. You go to the ref and say, hey, that was a hook. And no, he was just stronger than you were.
Well, opinions aside, the Engineers do go to the power play for the first time. 14 of 72, but it's knocked past Walsh. Brought into the zone, left for the trailer Mitten, but he's taken down, so now the Engineers can transition. Picked up on the near side by Heidemann. Has Mazzotti filling the lane, the trailer. It's Smolinski, he scores! Max Smolinski, the trailer. That's a power play goal, and the Engineers have tied the game at 1.
Well, as I mentioned, you got the shot coming from the point man, and he makes no mistake. He had great traffic in front of the net, throws it up top. Gielander's got to go down to protect the lower part of the net, and Smolinski goes barred down for a power play goal.
Max Smolinski, his second goal of the season. Also his 9th point. He scores on the power play, so the Engineers are able to cash in short order on the man advantage and tie the score. And penalty or not, depending on how you read it, the Engineers able to take advantage of the call nonetheless. So the game is tied at 1. They'll redrop the puck at center. The Engineers came in 14 of 72, 19.4% on the power play. The power play combined 0 for 6 in the weekend against Bowling Green. That was last weekend. They had been 4 for 8 on their power play against Princeton back on December 10th, so the last ECAC hockey weekend. But anyways, they cash in on the power play here, the first on either side to tie the score at 1. Kept in there by Strom on the near side point. Sent back out to center. The rolling puck too far for McGuire, so Hallbauer will go back and grab it in his own end. Lee now at center, flipped a pass through the middle, was hoping that Brendan Booty was filling the lane. He was a step or two behind. Austin Heidemann and Kyle Hallbauer will grab the assists on Smolinski's goal, kept in by Anderson, looking for a one-timer. That one got blocked as McGuire was looking to wind up on it. Evans having a little trouble as he thought his line mates were coming back to help him with the breakout, so the puck ends up getting sent back in deep. Watson will slow it down behind his net. And Mason Klee will get it going with just over 2 minutes remaining in the opening period of a game that's now tied at 1. Sent back out to center. The Engineers were in the midst of a line change as Davies will go back in, grab it, but it ends up working out in the Engineers' favor. That one will go for icing, so the faceoff will come back in front of Carter Geilander with 1:55 to go in period 1.
Well, that's what RPI has to do here, capitalize when they have the man advantage, which is interesting because when you look at Colgate, the opponent's power play, when they're getting scored against, it's only at 16.2%.
One of the better penalty kills in the nation, indeed. And it also, and it bears repeating, as Brackett was somehow able to grab possession of that puck after throwing it through the defender's legs, reversed along there by Berglund for Irwin. So a chance goes by the wayside for the Engineers. It started with the puck kind of exploding on TJ Walsh, leading to what was a partial break, but Mitten was unable to get the shot, and then he was knocked to the ice, allowing the Engineers to grab possession and then start transition already on the power play, but then in kind of an odd man rush, for lack of a better term. That's how you get so much room for a guy like Smolinski. That one will go for icing, face off back in the Engineers' defensive end, but again, opportunistic in that regard. You get a chance to go 4-on-2 into the offensive end, well, you got to do something with it.
Yeah, exactly. And Smolinski certainly did.
That would be the goal scorer's goal that we've talked about a couple of times this season. Face-off will come to the right of Watson. DePaulo and Mazzotti will lead in. It's won by DePaulo. Mitten dropped it back to the point. Belpedio will send it in deep. Smolinski for Walsh on the near side. The puck now hops up in the air. Walsh will try it again and flip it out to center. Nick Belpedio, the sophomore out of Skokie, Illinois. He was the one who grabbed possession in his own end, whipped all the way around the end boards. Laurie Surdy, the first one there. Near side for Matthews, able to force it back out to center. Was trying to center a pass for Mazzotti or Walsh. A little too much heat on that as he felt the pressure from Anderson. Just over 30 seconds remaining in the first. Game tied at 1 as Mason Klee will head back into his own end. Hearing the footsteps from DePaulo, he will instead find Mazzotti, who sends a backhand along for Surdy. Surdy for Mashi, who slowly backed his way in. Eventually the puck is flipped back in deep. Brandon got it to the center line, flipped up in the air. That one misses Watson's net wide. 10 seconds to go. Colgate grabs possession. Anderson on net, blocked by Agnew. Slowed down in the Engineers' end there by Heidemann, who sends it off the glass and out to the center line as the clock hits triple zeros here at the Houston Fieldhouse. The Engineers surrendered the first goal on a goal from Alex DePaulo. But then on the power play, just a few seconds into the man advantage, Max Smolinski, the trailer, is able to score his second goal of the season. That tied the game at 1. Back and forth on either side, but you remarked about it earlier in the first period, Dan Frigian. Some good chances for the Engineers offensively, and that's got to be a welcome sight to see.
Yeah, no question. I mean, I thought that, 5-on-5, they gave up that one goal, but then they come back. They get here's another look at it here. This is DePaulo putting it in on a nice pass from Matt Verboon from below the goal line. After DePaulo's knocked flat. Actually, he's looking for a penalty here. I figured, I better get back into play.
Ended up doing something with it there, did Alex DePaulo, 7th goal of the season for the sophomore. But here is Max Smolinski. Well, not a bad shot at all.
Not at all. I mean, I don't know if that hit both posts or underneath. It's tough from that angle to see, but certainly made the best of it with the traffic in front of the net. Great traffic in front.
Max Smolinski, his second goal of the season for the Engineers. Smolinski, the freshman out of Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. He is responsible for tying this one after 20 minutes of play. Shots on goal, 14-6 in favor of the Engineers through 20 minutes. We have a game that's deadlocked at 1. Dan Fridgen and I will step aside. We'll be back with the second period in just a few moments, so we hope you'll grab a drink, grab a snack, and stay with us here on this Friday evening at the Houston Fieldhouse. 1-1, RPI and Colgate. We'll step aside and be back with more after this. You're watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Hi, I'm Andy James at Rensselaer Honda, and this is my buddy Bo. Looking to sell your car or truck? We want to buy it. Are you looking for a great used car? We have a huge selection. That's why Rensselaer Honda has been your Honda dealer for 44 years.
We are boundary-pushing change agents. We do what it takes to make things happen together. It's our collaborative spirit that sparks creativity and pushes us to think beyond ourselves. We're scrappy and unabashedly enthusiastic about our passions and projects. We are hardwired for the havoc of change. We know it isn't easy, that theories can fail and world-changing can feel futile. But that's the calm before the brilliant storm. The breath you take before you break through. Small change comes from asking why. Changing the world comes from asking, why not? That's the question we ask everyone, from freshmen to faculty. It's the question that fuels us to find the next new. The question we ask you, why not change the world?
For the love of the game, the team, or for two, Recovery Sports Grill. At Recovery Sports Grill, you'll always have courtside seats to exciting live sports coverage. And for outstanding loyalty perks, join our Hall of Fame, Recovery Sports Grill, serving up smiles every season.
It's the most historic conference in college hockey. It's a battle night in and night out. ECAC Hockey, an iconic conference home to 12 of the most prestigious universities and programs in the world, and showcasing the best student athletes in the sport. Top-notch facilities and arenas, incomparable traditions, passionate fans, alumni who go on to become elite professionals, leaders, and champions. ECAC Hockey, there's no experience like it.
It seems like leaders were destined to be so. Born with confidence, blessed with talent, graced with wisdom. That's how they might seem, but it's not how they're made. Leadership takes practice and discipline and critical thinking. It's not a gift, it's a choice, and it starts here. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
Second period about to begin from the Houston Fieldhouse here on the campus of Rensselaer. Welcome back to RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN. Plus the score after 20 minutes of play, the Engineers tied up with the Colgate University Raiders at a score of 1-1. The Raiders took the lead at the 7:28 mark of the opening period on the 7th goal of the season for Alex DePaolo. Matt Verboon and Nick Belpedio, the assists on that one, but the Engineers were able to respond later in the first period with a power play strike from Max Smolinski, who was the trailer on an odd man rush. He sniped one, looked like it went bar down, at least post and down. On the power play for his second goal of the season, that tied the score at 1. Shots on goal were 14-6 in favor of the Engineers after 20 minutes of play. Good opportunities for the Engineers throughout. They were able to capitalize on the power play. What is it going to take for the Engineers in period number 2 in the eyes of Dan Frigian to, say, take it to the next level?
Well, I think they just have to get some shots on goal. They had a lot of traffic in certain situations where they had some offensive pressure going, and they just kept shooting the puck wide. Shoot it on net. They got good traffic, and they'll have more going in.
That is the plan. We're underway here in period number 2. He's the coach, Dan Frigian. I'm Dan Ball, by the way. Thanks so much for joining us here on ESPN Plus here on this Friday evening, the first of 2 this weekend for the Engineers and Dave Smith's group. They take on Colgate this evening. The Cornell Big Red coming to town tomorrow evening, as they are currently down the street taking on Union. So we'll tell you about that game and more coming up later on in this period. We'll take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard and give you the updates on what else is going on in ECAC hockey. But in the meantime, the face-off will be to the left of Jack Watson, who made 5 saves on the 6 shots that he faced. Mitten tried to win the face-off through the legs of the man he was taking it against there, Jacob Lee. Unsuccessful in doing so, so Reed Irwin will send it along the near side boards, but Lee was able to steal. That was only temporary, however, and now Mitten has speed on the near side. He'll look to track down this loose puck, but Laurie Surdy, the first one into that corner. Wearing the hit there was Heidemann, but Surdy answered with a hit of his own, and now he'll jump in and skate the puck through center himself. Surdy will knock it in deep. Knocked along there by Carter Geilander, who in the first period was 13 of 14 in saves and shots faced. He looked very strong for large portions, and again, the power play strike for the Engineers, the only blemish on his record. Sent to the middle, looking for Manderville, but it's sent from the point instead by Anderson. That one's blocked into the corner. Giving chase there is LaBelle, back to the point. Now near side, Brandon's shot. That one's blocked by Ryan Massey into the near corner. Good block by Massey, but Manderville grabs possession, trying to battle around Lee. For a little room to move, he'll send it cross to the far point for Anderson, who sent it looking for a tip from LaBelle. He got it successfully, but it didn't get on net. A centering pass through the legs of Walsh, kept in by Anderson, who will leave for Brandon. Off the far side, whipped in front. Watson was able to knock that one away. And now Strom will gain possession, but he only had it for the moment as Colgate has been able to keep the Engineers hemmed in their own end, rather. Shot from the far side by Belpedio, blocked out to center, and the Engineers will get a line change.
Good job by RPI there, protecting the shots from getting to the net on the blocks. Colgate with good offensive pressure.
Glaceman tried to backhand a pass through the middle, but that was knocked away in a good defensive play there by Jack Agnew. Now it's Smolinski, the goal scorer for the Engineers, who will advance it into the near corner. Backhanded along, Anthony Stark, the first one who grabs possession. That was behind Geilander's net. Long across, that one is knocked away. He was looking for Glaceman. Now it's Beaton, near side, save Geilander. The rebound controlled there by Stark as Beaton had the puck flutter on him a bit. That actually almost ended up working to his advantage, but a good play by Young springs it 2-on-1, and Smolinski was back in his own end to knock that away from the strong Alex Young, who was looking to add to his team leading 21 points this season. Now it's Smolinski at center, was able to evade a poke check. To the near side, it's Evans on goal. That one was knocked away by Geilander as Alti Nikkanen was streaking through the middle to try to grab that rebound. Here's Davies in his own end, was able to maintain possession despite only having one of his 2 arms with which to work. Flipped high up in the air as Mazzotti was able to knock it free, but the puck rebounds its way through the middle and it's turned over Back in pursuit of that one is Hallbauer, who was able to knock that puck away from the oncoming Ben Raymond. Bit of a risky feed there from Dylan Davies, and Raymond was able to get a burst of speed, but didn't end up getting a shot away on the good defensive effort by Hallbauer.
Well, it's a good thing Hallbauer is a really good skater. I mean, he just kind of pivoted a little bit and stepped up and played that puck.
Hallbauer flips it to center. Mazzotti, now a partial 2-on-1, but the puck wouldn't sit for Henri Schreifels, who had stepped up. He had Walsh, who was streaking down the middle along with him. Knocked to the ice there was Hallbauer as he was able to get the puck over the defensive blue line. Anderson sends it out to center. Mazzotti will wait for his teammate to touch up. Here is Mazzotti. Sun on goal. That one's knocked aside by Geilander. He's able to pin it along the far side of the net and get a whistle. 15:56 to go, second period here in Troy. Still 1-1, Engineers and the Colgate Raiders.
A little bit of a collision there with Mazzotti and Booty behind the net. Here it is right here. Mazzotti. Hello, Mr. Booty. How are you?
Not necessarily. I wouldn't have expected out of the two that Brendan Booty would be the one to fully keep his balance, but hey, strong on your skates, you can do a lot of things, and it is Brendan Booty once more in the near corner. One hands it along, tried to get it for Heidemann, but Anthony Stark was able to steal. Mitten sends to center for DePaolo. Now it's Verboon who's able to skate it over the line and flip it in deep. Klee will make a little bit of room for himself. Booty down helping as that third player low. He's able to advance it to Lee, who gets it over the defensive blue line, and Belpedio for the Raiders, the first one there. Klee will grab it in deep. He sends it around the oncoming Verboon. Jacob Lee will slow things down. His pass all the way through the middle on the tape of TJ Walsh, but after a couple of stick handles, he had that puck not free. Surdy will circle away. Lori Surdy, the junior out of Espoo, Finland. The game has changed for him a bit. He's blocking more shots than he was at the beginning of the year. He's registered blocks in each of his last 6 games, including multiple blocks in 3. Granted, he only has 1 shot on goal in his last 6 games. Again, that doesn't mean he's not shooting. It's just not hitting the net. And you can tell that those stats, again, if you're watching, would indicate a bit of a change in role for Lori Surdy into more of the stay-at-home defenseman type, something he is capable of doing, but the stats would start to show that as we have a penalty coming up. It's going to be a hook going against Alex Young. He was able to spill Dylan Davies in front of the RPI bench, and for the second time, the Engineers are headed to the power play.
There's another look at it here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, he gets it. That's getting the stick on the hands, and every time you do that now, that's going to be called a hook. Here it is right here. Which was interesting. The back referee called that where he didn't have a good angle on it, and the referee that had the good angle didn't make the call.
Second power play of the evening for the Engineers. They cashed in on their first opportunity. Took less than 30 seconds to do so. Here is Smolinski. Top of the circles. Tried to get it on net off his back foot. That one got deflected. Mazzotti gains possession in the near corner. Smolinski for Hallbauer. A saucer pass that goes over the stick of Smolinski, so he will have to backtrack and make sure the puck is kept in. He does so. Hallbauer's pass too far ahead for Heidemann, so it's skated back the other way with a bit of speed. Brought in by Colton Young, and Watson is able to clear that one away. He choked down on the stick a bit and used the stick as a stick in order to clear that puck away. And a bit of a unique play by Watson, but it worked in his favor.
Yeah, I mean, you miss on that. And the good thing is the puck was laying flat. It wasn't fluttering, so he was aggressive on a flat puck, which worked out well for him.
Stark in the near corner, knocked it along for Irwin, but Hallbauer steps in all the way to the near corner to at least pin the puck along the boards and wait for a bit of help. Sent to the line, but Smolinski will have to backtrack as it's led by Panetta. Panetta trying to center for McGuire, but 19 was tied up by 19 of the Engineers. That's Mazzotti. What it does allow, however, is Anthony Stark to regroup in his own end. He and Reed Irwin on defense, but it's turned over and whiffed upon there by Hallbauer at the end of his shift. Unable to keep the line, so Maschie will regroup. Through the neutral zone comes Ryan Massey. Stepping in, he's able to avoid a couple of oncoming Raiders, but what Colgate was able to do was separate him from the puck and clear the line and clear all the way down.
On that last Colgate rush, Anthony Stark was the weak side D jumping up in the offense, and I think it was Panetta that didn't see him.
Massey for Lee, as there's now 10 seconds remaining on the power play, and the Raiders will spend the remaining time breaking out and breaking in. McGuire on the near side, met by two white and red sweaters. Stolen away by Evans, but his pass was too far ahead for Massey, so right as the power play comes to an end, the Engineers have iced the puck, so the second power play unit here for Dave Smith's group will be taking a face-off in their own end. Power play for the Engineers now 1 for 2. Luckily, the Engineers do have two defensemen on the ice, and Sturdy might have got out there in just the nick of time. He and Jack Agnew, the two defensemen out there after the icing, but the group is tired. However, it's won almost too strongly, some would say, by the Raiders out through the neutral zone, so the Engineers are able to get a partial change. They got 2 out of 5 off the ice from my count. One of which was Agnew. That allows Dylan Davies to get it to the line, and on a second attempt, he's able to get it around Belpedio, but it's picked up by DePaolo. Here is DePaolo. He takes a hit. Nikkanen is able to clear the line, knocked down by Anderson. A nice play by Nick Anderson in his own end. A pass to space is stolen by Klee. Sent to the corner for Nikkanen. A backhander along the boards is kept in there by Davies. Nikkanen once more. Bunts it back. Klee on the near side. Sends it off the end boards. The puck ended up hitting the boards flat and dying instead of taking a bounce in front like he may have intended. One-timer from the near side for Schreifels, knocked away by Geilander. He'll send it on goal again. He was looking for a pass this time around. Trying to get Nikkanen in front, didn't connect. Heidemann threw a screen, sent it on goal. That missed the net on the near side. Schreifels sends to the point. He felt a couple of players oncoming, so he ended up just sending a pass towards someone that looked like a teammate. It was John Evans, but the puck had a bit too much steam on it, so Evans and the rest of his defense will go back and grab it. Beaton tries to find the rolling puck around Reed Irwin. This time it's Brackett in possession over center. Here is Jack Brackett. Snaps it on goal. A glove save made by Geilander, and he'll hang on. 10:59 to go. Second period here in Troy. A game still tied at 1 between the Engineers and the Raiders of Colgate.
Well, Brackett decided to take that shot. He had Evans going to the net on the backside wide open. But not a bad idea. Take the shot, see what happens. Maybe there's a rebound and Evans will pick it up. He's on his forehand.
There's another look from behind the goal line for Carter Geilander making the save. Shots on goal 19-9 in favor of the Engineers through what is now almost 30 minutes worth of play. Count at 29. Massey grabs possession below the goal, but the Raiders are able to steal. The pass goes through between the stick and the rest of the body of Colton Young, so the Raiders will try the breakout a second time. This time Irwin's pass too far ahead. Long rebound off the far side boards, corralled there by Agnew. Strom a pass to the middle for Massey, who felt the footsteps coming of Anthony Stark. He was able to clear the line and get a rolling puck that goes to the end line but not over it, so no icing. Taken to center, a battle for possession, and it's flipped up and into the Raiders bench. So the faceoff will come back to the neutral zone with 10:21 remaining in period number 2. In a game that is tied at 1, Coach, will we have a chance? Let's take a look at the out-of-town scoreboard for some of the games going on. Right now, Yale has a 2-1 lead over Merrimack, who is a top 10 team in the country this season. Good for them. Yale leading 2-1 right now. Elsewhere, there are 3 other games in ECAC play right now. Cornell leading Union 3-0. It is Princeton 1-0 over Harvard at home. Still waiting for a score from Hamden, Connecticut, as Quinnipiac taking on Dartmouth tonight. And that's what it looks like in ECAC hockey play on the men's side. This one's sent the length. Watson will come out and knock that one out to the top of the circles with a little bit of pressure coming. But he's able to do it successfully, and Nikkanen will flip it in deep and absorb a hit after he did so. Beaton backhands it below the goal. First one there was Pearson Brandon. Nikkanen upended again. This time it's knocked out to center, and Brackett will have to go back and retrieve with the speedy Sebastian Tamburo in tow. To the near side, it hopped over the stick of Nikkanen, who was at the end of a hard-working shift. He'll go for a change, as was John Beaton, who was the player forechecking. The defender, Reed Irwin, on the far side, snapped it on goal. It got deflected up and above Watson's net. Never had to make a save, and now Brendan Booty. He tried to flip a pass to the middle, but it's stolen by Ross Mitten. Mitten flips it around Surdy. The two will go towards the boards and try to battle it out. The Engineers did grab possession. Good play at the point there by Nick Belpedio to keep that puck in with a kick. Centering feed, nobody home. Heidemann is able to take it out to the center line. Bergsland settles a rolling puck, tries to flip a pass to the middle, and in the process, the Raiders have drawn a penalty and will go to the power play for the first time, and we'll tell you more about it when we return. 8:55 to go, second period here in Troy. A game that is tied at 1 thanks to 2 first-period goals. The Engineers scored on the power play. Alex DiPaolo, the opening goal for the Raiders. That's where we stand with 8:55 to go. We'll step aside and be back with more after this. You're watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+. Back on ESPN Plus, first power play for the Colgate Raiders here this evening as Jacob Lee will sit for 2 for interference. Near side it is Alex Young, top of the circles. He inches his way to the middle, feeling the pressure from Strom. Making Young a bit uncomfortable. Snaps it on goal, was looking for a deflection along the way. The reach of Mazzotti chips it to the line, but Young is able to keep it on a nice play. Felt the pressure from Strom once more. Loose puck far side, backhanded high out to center. On a good play by Kyle Hallbauer on the backhand.
Colgate currently sitting at 21% on the power play, while RPI at 77% on the kill.
Looking for a centering feed, a diving play to block that pass there by Klee. He had Verboon, did Manderville on the back door. Klee made a nice play there. Anderson back up top. The defenseman Anderson steps to his forehand. He'll get it once more. Bunted to the near side. Young in front, looking for a shot. They score! The puck was bouncing around. Klee tried to clear it, but it ended up on the tape of Ethan Manderville. That's a power play goal. Now both teams have struck on the power play, and Colgate has regained the lead.
Well, that was a pretty simple play. They moved it around the top pretty well, and then the puck got caught in Klee's skate, and Manderville was right there to backhand the puck that was just sitting there. I'm assuming it went, we didn't get quite a good look at it, but I think it goes 5-hole on Jack Watson. Here it is. Shot. Yeah, 5-hole.
A bit of a broken play there as Klee had unknowingly blocked that pass. But it ends up on the backhand of Ethan Manderville, the senior out of Ottawa, Ontario. Third goal of the season, second power play goal. And the Raiders have struck on the man advantage to regain the lead. It is now 2-1.
Oddly enough, his dad played at Colgate's biggest rival, Cornell. Kent Manderville.
Wow. Must have been an interesting conversation at the Manderville dinner table when that all was coming to pass. Carving out a good career for himself, though, Ethan Manderville, and a good size that you wonder, will that transition to a possible pro game as Agnew will go back and grab it. That's icing against the Raiders. 6'4", 225 is Ethan Manderville out of Ottawa, Ontario. So, again, you park a guy like that in front, good things will often happen on the power play, and that is exactly what happened for Ethan Manderville. Not only that, and Dan Fridgen mentioned the power play numbers, the Raiders now have a power play goal in 6 straight games. They came in with a goal in 5 as well as 6 of their last 7. 11 of their last 35 coming into this one. So firing on all cylinders, and we read the number for Alex Young earlier, 8 power play goals, second best in the nation, leading the ECAC. And you see numbers like that and hear numbers like that of late, you start to understand why, as there was a bit of a fire drill going on the Raiders bench. There were maroon and white sweaters going every which way, but apparently, according to the officials on the ice, 5 left the ice and 5 jumped on the ice. So that's where we stand, and that's where we'll play. Battle in the near corner. Heidemann trying to knock it free. He gets it to the line for Hallbauer. Tries to snap it on goal. That one got deflected, and it missed on the near side. One-timer from Heidemann on the pass from Walsh. That one just missed the net wide. It's flipped to the line, and Walsh was able to keep the line on a very good hustle play there to keep the pressure on the Raiders.
Those are the shots that have to get on net right there.
Strom will go back and grab it, but you're absolutely right. That's an opportunity that went by the wayside. Here is Massey. Near side, that one's on goal. On to Geilander, who will make the save and cover up to take a face-off to his left with 6:13 to go here in period number 2.
Yeah, sorry. No, I was just going to say it's a small thing that makes a big difference.
There's another look at the chance from Massey, and you're absolutely right. I mean, you know, the chances are coming, and the shots on goal right now, 19 or 22-11 now after that shot from Massey. But again, you're getting the chances. It's what are you doing with them?
Well,
there's a big difference, shots and shots on goal. That's where you're getting that kind of chances. You're right.
Yeah, the goaltender's not going to save them all, but if you don't give them something to play, I mean, you're not challenging them.
Here is Mitten through center, tried to leave for the oncoming Verboon behind him. A centering pass was knocked away there by Schreifels, who had positioned himself in front. A note on the, I guess you could call it the depth on offense for the Engineers, as Massey's able to get it into the corner. Rory Herman, in between semesters, ended up leaving the program. He is now playing with the Cardiff Devils in Great Britain. So a player that you would often see as a bottom 6 forward, but again, an option to win faceoffs for this team. No longer on the roster, so the players you've heard, Henri Schreifels, Alti Nikkanen, and even a player like Finn Brown, who was in the lineup when Ryan Massey was out of it against Bowling Green, you'll start to hear those names a bit more. Centering pass. That one was up in the air from Beaton, trying to get it in the vicinity of Brackett. Instead, it ended up falling into the pads of Geilander, who will hang on and take a draw.
I like that play by Brackett. He just bolts to the net, which forces the D to make a decision. Here's the turnover here with Irwin carrying the puck. Look at Brackett just bolts right to the net.
Like a wide receiver running a deep route, well, I'll make the defender do something, if nothing else, and it ended up getting a face-off in the offensive end. Lee will lean in to take it. The alignment of defenders set up for a chance on the other side of the ice, but that's predicated on a face-off win, which the Engineers rather did not get, because the Raiders did. Stolen below the goal. Attempting to whip it in front. That shot coming from Irwin got blocked right in front of Watson. Heidemann will take the pass through center and flip it off the far side boards. Giving chase there was Lee, but all of this was done offside, so the Engineers will regroup. On the near side, here is Tommy Bergsland, who will flip it in deep. Go in on the forecheck, win the race, and grab the puck. Good play there by Bergsland. A shot from the point, kicked away by Watson. The Engineers grab the rebound. Heidemann at the line on the near side will flip it in deep, as all 5 white sweaters will go for a line change with under 5 minutes to go here in period 2. Raiders leading here on the road by a score of 2-1. Evans on the near side tries to backhand it around Pearson Brandon. Brandon, a captain on this team, and a player that leads the ECAC in blocked shots. That one's whipped from below the goal on Watson. He's forced to make a save, so the Colgate Raiders going to the school of Dan Frigen in terms of getting shots on net and making your goaltender do something. Here is John Beaton. Nice move in on goal, and he missed the net wide. A one-handed deke and a beauty there from John Beaton to make some room for himself as a pass goes off of the skate of Beaton and into the far corner. One-handed along there by Hallbauer. That would have been a highlight reel goal, and he did the first half. The second half would not go, and now here comes Colgate on a partial 3-on-2. Led by Colton Young, now it's LaBelle who will chip it into the corner. Centering pass was looking for anybody in maroon. The only one there, a member of the Engineers. John Beaton at the end of the shift. Now here is Surdy at the line. Avoids a couple of hits. He'll whip it in deep, feeling the pressure coming from behind. Walsh is rubbed off the puck there below. Geilender's net on a nice play by Belpedio. Mitten chips to the line. Verboon was trying to tap it around Mason Klee, but a little too much air on that pass. We'll see it flip into the bench, so a face-off will come back to the neutral zone. Just under 3 minutes to go. Here's the move by John Beaton.
Oh, he just gets it under the triangle of the defenseman and just put that on net. I mean, there's a lot of net there to shoot at. I think they just put it on to 4x6. Make the goaltender play it.
The lesson becomes more and more poignant. The one-timer from Heidemann and that chance right there. A couple of good opportunities. The Engineers not struggling to generate the opportunities today, which is a welcome sign to see as we begin the unofficial second half of the season and really jump headlong into conference play. As Klee goes back and grabs it, that's an icing, and after juggling the puck a few times, I'll just let the linesman grab it instead. Face-off will come in front of Carter Geilender to his right. Mazzotti will take the draw against Alex DiPaolo. Raiders as a team 505 at the dot. 616 total face-off wins. The Engineers at a 486 clip. Mazzotti has been pressed into service as one of the team's top centers as a freshman, and he's just a tad under the 50-50 win-loss mark at 4.92 so far this season, doing very well. Here's a backdoor feed, looking back for Verboon. There was Mitten, didn't connect on the pass, but in the process, he's able to draw a penalty. It's going to be another hooking call, the third hooking infraction out of 4 called today. The second straight opportunity on the power play going to the road team, the Colgate Raiders, looking to build on their 1-goal lead.
Well, I think he had one of the Youngs going to the net, left-hand shot. Actually, sorry, no, that was Verboon. I think I would have taken the shot on goal, hope for a rebound so Verboon could pick it up.
So the penalty will go to Laurie Surdy. He will sit for 2 for a hook. Power play already 1 for 1 so far this evening for this Raiders team, who again has been firing on all cylinders, as was Anderson there from the point. Wasn't able to connect, and the Engineers are able to clear after the big shot coming from Nick Anderson on the point.
Well, you can see why Nick Anderson's their leading point getter from the point. He's got 2 goals and 11 assists for 13 points in 20 games.
Anderson hot of late as well, and you can understand with that kind of shot like you're saying. 2-game point streak, but points in 6 of 7 for Nick Anderson, the junior out of Independence, Minnesota. The anchor at the top of a power play with a lot of talent on it as it's Young. Tried to feather a pass in front. Was looking for the last goal scorer, Manderville. It's kept at the line and kept in by Anderson. Sent toward the goal there by Young. Was looking for a deflection in front. Knocked away by Watson. Here's Manderville on the near side. Centers a pass. That shot coming and got blocked. Colgate maintains possession. They've had it for now roughly a minute's worth here on this power play. Anderson, centering feed. Manderville draped upon there by Schreifels, and the Engineers get the clear they'd been waiting for.
Yeah, it's a good thing they got that clear. Those guys were getting tired out there.
A line change on both sides brings the official, unofficial second unit onto the ice for the Raiders. Led ahead by Irwin. Now it's Mitten on the far side. A self-pass off the end boards. Finds LaBelle. Here is Simon LaBelle. Wheeling and dealing back up top. Here is Irwin. Under a minute to go. Now just 17 seconds remaining on the penalty against Laurie Sardi. Back up top for Belpedio. On goal, save Watson. Rebound loose in front. Knocked towards Mitten, but he had been tied up on the near side post. Kept in by Belpedio. He and Irwin will trade places. Power play coming to an end. A backdoor feed there by LaBelle got blocked by Klee. LaBelle finds it again. Loose puck in front. Klee is able to find it and flip it as far as center. This one will roll end over end and become an icing against the Engineers with 13.4 seconds remaining in period number 2. The power play for the Raiders now 1 for 2 so far this evening, but not without its share of opportunities there in opportunity number 2.
Well, RPI's been out there a long time. 13 seconds left. Big face-off here.
I thought for a moment that we might see a timeout from Dave Smith and the coaching staff. Not the case. Big block there after the shot coming from the top of the circles. Beaton's able to steal. Backhands it through the legs as far as center. Anderson will slow it down with Pearson Brandon. And that is how we will end the middle 20 minutes of play here at the Houston Fieldhouse on the campus of RPI. 2 goals in the first, just 1 in the second. It's a power play strike from Ethan Manderville. He was able to grab a rebound right through the legs of Mason Klee and put it through the legs of the goaltender Jack Watson that you see on the right of your screen. That is how the Raiders grab the lead, and after the second period of play, the score is 2-1. We'll take a look at the power play mark here from Ethan Manderville as Coach Dan Fridgen. Your thoughts on the middle 20 for both of these teams?
Well, I think that, Colgate got the goal, but I think most of the offensive opportunities, at least 4 that I could think of, where RPI is just missing the net with the shot.
Right.
And you're not, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but you're not going to score if you don't put it on net. And they've been, you do all that work. Beaton makes that great play with the one-hander through the triangle of the defenseman, and then he shoots it wide. It's like, all that extra work has gone for naught, and hopefully it's something that you don't dream about at night if you lose the hockey game. So you want to make sure you're capitalizing and executing on the offense.
I tell you what, it's not beating a dead horse if it remains true, and it's true through 40 minutes of play. 2-1, Colgate leading RPI on the road. We'll step aside and be back with third period action in just a few moments. Stay with us. You're watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+. Third period underway here at the Houston Fieldhouse. Welcome back to RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+. Jack Watson handles his first save of the third period after the opening face-off. Brendan Booty will send it across that defensive blue line and out to center as the puck rebounded up and went out of play. Welcome back in, folks, alongside the coach, Dan Fridgen. Dan Ball with you here on ESPN+. Thanks so much for making us a part of your Friday evening here in the Capital Region. It's cold, but not as cold as we thought it would be at this time of the year. I'll knock on whatever wood I have while I say that as the face-off will come back to the neutral zone. But thanks for making us a part of the Friday night. Again, game number 1 of the unofficial second half of the season, especially here at the Houston Fieldhouse. Don't forget, you can join us tomorrow evening as well as the Engineers take on Cornell. And if you can't come, and again, RPI Hockey or RPIathletics.com for tickets and more information. Join us on ESPN+. Dan Fridgen and I will be here to tell you more about it, much like we are right now. Snapped on goal. Jack Watson will make the save and hang on. Just over 30 seconds gone by. Again, the score 2-1 in favor of the visiting Colgate Raiders thanks to a power play marker from Ethan Manderville. That came at the 12:07 mark. Alex Young, Nick Anderson both getting points on assists off of that one. Shots on goal in the middle period, 10-7 in favor of the Raiders, so we ended 40 minutes of play with the Engineers still leading by 5 in that category. Carter Geilander, netminder for the Raiders, 20 of 21 in net through 2. Jack Watson, 14 of 16, and he has since added to that total. The Raiders leading and looking to continue their lead as it's knocked around. Ryan McGuire thereby beaten. This one will go down and be icing against the Raiders. So the faceoff will come back, or against the Engineers rather, the faceoff in front of Jack Watson in just a few moments from now.
So we talked about the number of games that these teams have played against each other, 137 times. But here at Houston Fieldhouse, they've met 66 times.
Okay.
And RPI holds a 37-28-1 advantage.
Still not dominant necessarily, more so, and you would kind of expect it with home ice, but still very even despite the amount of time that has gone between the first matchup and the current matchup. Still very remarkable either way. The Raiders swept the season series last year. They also picked up the victory in the scrimmage in Game 1 of the season for the Engineers by a score of 4-2, like we mentioned. The Raiders came in with 16 points. They are 6-2 in conference entering tonight, and a tie for third place with 2 other teams. The Engineers 2-6-0 and a tie for 9th. So points very valuable at this point. Still a lot of room to move in either direction, and particularly up for the Engineers as we get into what is essentially only conference play from here on out until the NCAA tournament. Backhanded along there by Smolinski out to the line. Mazzotti will backhand it once more, this time getting it in deep. But Anthony Stark, the first one there, defender for the Raiders. Brought in along the near side with speed. Taken behind by Raymond. Now back to the point. One-timed on goal. Watson makes the save through a bit of traffic in front of him. He's able to hang on with 18:03 remaining in period 3. Colgate leading by a goal.
Yeah, you're right. There's a 3-way tie for third place. Colgate, Princeton, and Cornell, and then RPI in a tie for 9th with Brown University. The Bears.
The Bears, perhaps?
The Bears.
The Engineers, it is remarkable the splits at Houston Fieldhouse and then away. You look at their record at home, 7-2-1, and that's buoyed by some very impressive non-conference play to begin the year. Still looking for a victory on the road to this point in the season. Picked up on the far side. To the backhand, they score! Jacob Lee on the backhand. Possibly no player needed it more, and the game is tied at 2.
Well, just a great play here by Jacob Lee. Nice job forcing the turnover. Gets the puck, takes it to the net, and he goes 5-hole on Geilander. Faked the shot, and when he pulls it to his backhand, it opens up the wickets of Geilander, and it's in the net.
Jacob Lee, the junior, out of Owen Sound, Ontario, his 5th goal of the season. Didn't try to do too much on that backhand, Dan Fridgen, but did enough to weed it through Carter Geilander as he was going down into the butterfly, and Jacob Lee has tied the game here at 2 apiece. The time of the goal on that one, 2 minutes and 17 seconds, so a response and getting shots on net for the Engineers in short order to begin this third period. A couple of great chances in the middle 20 that did not hit the net. You talk about the one-timer from Austin Heidemann and the chance after the incredible one-handed deke there by John Beaton to get himself a partial break. He put it past the net. Good chance there by Lee, and he's able to tie the game, and now a pass skitters its way in front as Mason Klee has both hands in the air, was looking for a call of some sort. He didn't get it. What the Engineers will get is a face-off in front of Geilender's net.
Here's another look at it. That's a juicy rebound right there, but Klee can't catch up to it. Being a defenseman, they just don't stop in front of the net. They just kind of keep cruising, and puck's sitting there.
Anthony Stark did have a good little grip there on Mason Klee's stick, so I can understand a little bit of frustration, but again, you know, there have been things going back and forth either way. Geilender makes the save. The assists on that one, Alti Nikkanen and Nick Strom. Nikkanen, his second point of the season. He scored a goal in his season debut. That was against Mercyhurst back on October 8th. He got injured in the celebration after kind of getting tied up with the referee. Here's Brackett, top of the slot, snapped it on goal. It bounced its way wide. Taken down there was John Evans. Reed Irwin is going to go to the box. So the Engineers have drawn their third power play of the evening, and they're already 1 for 2 in that department so far.
Well, this would be a good opportunity for them to take the lead in this hockey game, which they haven't had to this point. And no better time to do it than in the third period, early.
Reed Irwin will be the guilty party. 3 minutes and 11 seconds into this here third period. He will sit for 2. The power play 1 for 2 for the Engineers. Again, they came in clicking at roughly 19.5% on their man advantage. Mazzotti tied up off the draw. The clearing attempt unsuccessful, but this time instead Colton Young will lead it in. Backdoor feed looking in front, but McGuire couldn't pull the trigger. Tried to center a pass. It didn't connect with Young, but it ends up safely on the stick of Pearson Brandon, who will rag some time off of the power play for the Engineers and flip a puck in deep.
RPI is lucky that puck came outside the zone. Watson had lost his stick and he was fishing for it. He had no idea where that puck was.
Hallbauer will drop it back. Now it's TJ Walsh on the near side. Mazzotti sprays it off the near side boards in deep, but Tommy Bergslund, the first one there, rings it around the near side glass and all the way down. So RPI will regroup and go grab it once more. It was a rip-roaring start to the season offensively for Jacob Lee, but just 3 points in his past 14 games. This is a player with 12 points in 19 games, so do the math, and that's exactly how strong he started. A great time for him to score the tie-in goal. Looking for the leading goal is Massey in front. That one's blocked. Heidemann on goal. He scores! On the rebound and through a screen, Austin Heidemann. A power play goal, the second of the night for the Engineers, and they have their first lead of the night.
Well, that was just a simple play. All he did was flip it at the net with all the traffic. Geilender has a tough time coming up with that puck. It squeaks free. And look, it's just a little flip shot up and over Geilender, who's down on his knees, frustrated. Couldn't find a handle to corral that puck, and RPI capitalizes on the power play to go ahead in this game. First lead.
There's a good look at it right from the slot area. Austin Heidemann was in that soft area. Goal number 5 on the season for Heidemann, the junior out of Blaine, Minnesota, and transfer from Mercyhurst. But looking to do something about it there was Manderville and the Raiders. Watson was able to stop that one and hit him right in the RPI crest in the center of his chest as Nikkanen's pass gets blocked. So RPI, for the first time in this one, has a lead. They've scored 2 power play goals in 3 opportunities so far this evening. Impressive performance for sure. Good puck movement and chances on net, Dan Fridgen. Look at the difference that's making in period 3 already.
No question. They just have to keep that going.
The insurance goal, an ever important one from any team that's in a lead. Neither team has had that insurance goal to this point. The Engineers looking to change that conversation in a hurry. Strom back for Brackett. The speedy Jack Brackett tried to weave his way through Irwin. Strom steps in on the offense. He's helping with the forecheck. A backhand in front. Beaton was able to get that one on goal quickly. It took an odd bounce in front of Geilander, but he's able to keep it out. Ross Mitten with speed going in against Mason Klee. The two will now battle in the near corner, and Klee will absorb a hit that knocks the puck loose. Strom off the glass. It'll hit a couple of stanchions on its way through the middle. Knocked along for Beaton. The Engineers at the end of a shift, so Beaton didn't quite have the support. A shot coming from Massey, who just came off the bench. That one got blocked, never got on net, but Massey will start his forecheck, making life a bit more difficult for the defenders wearing maroon. Eventually, Surtees able to grab possession. Massey will spray it in deep. Puck is knocked free by Walsh. A centering feed got blocked. Now it's Stark in his own end. He takes a hit from Massey. To his side, they're battling in the corner. Whipped on goal there by Mazzotti. Going for a sharp angle shot and was going for that far side corner as Geilander had gone down into the butterfly. Mazzotti all the way around for Walsh. Whipped right on goal, looking for Mazzotti. Geilander makes the save. He finds the rebound and will cover up and take a face-off. And all of the players involved getting to know one another a little bit better after the whistle. Carter Geilander able to make the save on Sutter Mazzotti to keep it a 1-goal deficit for his team.
Well, RPI has found some offensive momentum here. Ever since they scored that power play goal, they've had the better of the chances. Colgate's back on their heels a little bit. RPI applying forechecking pressure and getting some good shots on goal.
The goal scorer, Austin Heidemann, came in with 2 goals in his last 3, so make that 3 out of his last 4 now. 2 of which are indeed power play goals for the Engineers. So Austin Heidemann starting to heat up for this group in the second half, and right on time as the offense has started to click at a bit of a more rapid pace. Kind of down the stretch at the end of the first half of the season. Here's Heidemann again, and he scores! Austin Heidemann, why not? Top corner over the blocker of Carter Geilander. The insurance goal scored by the Engineers. It's 4-2.
Well, that's just a lot of hard work by that line, and they've been doing a good job. Here you see it right here. You got Booty who puts it out right on the tape of Heidemann, and he makes no mistake. You have Jacob Lee in front of the net. And just a great, great play. It's interesting how Dave Smith has put Heidemann up there with Lee and Booty, and it's paid off. Heidemann currently with 2 goals and 1 assist.
John Beaton on the backhand right after the goal was looking to do something about it. He had Jack Brackett in tow with him on a partial 2-on-1. Klee sending off the end boards. That is an interesting note, and that this line is becoming something to watch. And if Austin Heidemann can start scoring from that area, and it's so funny how in that second period, Heidemann got a pass from Walsh right around the same area, just on the other side of the net, and he had a one-timer that missed. But now in that same slot area, 2 goals probably 3 feet from one another as a puck in front of Watson is covered up by the glove of the sophomore netminder for the Engineers, putting an end to a bit of chaos in front of his net. You look at those 2 things back-to-back, missed the shot from that slot area in the second, 2 chances in the third. I'm not missing those, he says.
Yeah, exactly. And it certainly made a difference here in this third period.
Austin Heidemann, in his 2 years with Mercyhurst, had 12 goals and 27 points in 38 games last year, 7 goals in 16 games as a freshman. So has shown a penchant for scoring goals in his still relatively young college career, just past the halfway point, I guess, if you add the COVID year into the mix. This one's flipped the length of the ice. Belpedio will win the race around Mazzotti. That one will be icing against the Engineers. You know, the offense for this team, when you look at the ranks in ECAC play, offense goals scored, they had 47 goals coming in. That was sixth in the conference, which again, you know, that middle of the pack. and growing from where they were. It's been the defense with 62 goals against that's ranked 11th out of the 12 teams in the conference. So the offense is the thing that's starting to tick up. Now you're looking for the defense to be able to match you stride for stride.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? That's kind of happened because up to this point, there's only 5 forwards on this RPI team that have more points than 2 of the defensemen, Jack Agnew and Max Smolinski. And Smolinski has a goal tonight.
Here's Young on the near side. His pass got deflected. It ramped up off of a stick and never got on net. Knocked to the line now, a 2-on-1 coming the other way. Led by Maschy with Nikkanen. Here's Nikkanen to the backhand. And Geilander was able to get just a little bit of that puck as Altti Nikkanen was going to the backhand on a nice feed from Ryan Maschy.
That was a good play. Good save by Geilander. He needed that one.
Backhanded in front in transition as Alex Young was looking to change things in short order, but Watson made the save. One-timer in front. Watson makes another stop on that one. Kept in at the top of the circles. Here is Anderson. Centers a pass. Never got all the way there as Hallbauer blocked it. He's now protecting the puck in the near corner. Maschy will pop it out to the center line and hit off of an official and then up into the bench. So the face-off will come back into the Engineers' own end. Here's another look at the 2-on-1.
Oh, you know what? He just missed it. I don't think Geilander got a piece of that at all.
You're absolutely right. Great pass there by Maschy.
Fans on it.
You could see that the puck went up on end on him a little bit, and it just wouldn't sit for Nikkanen. Good patience and presence of mind to take that puck to the backhand, and he did end up deking Geilander out of position like he was trying to, just couldn't finish on the other end. So a chance for the Engineers to extend their lead to 3 goes by the wayside, but they're going to look to add to it here with Walsh. Walsh steps in, centers a feed in front for Strom, and the pass wouldn't sit. A little bit of sauce on that run from TJ Walsh, but the connection was not made on the other end. Sent around the end boards, past the reach of the outstretched stick of Carter Geilander, who has been under attack here in this third period and has played extremely well to this point. But the Engineers offensively taking care of their business right in front of his goal. And they've extended their lead to 2. Popped out to the line, deflected along there by Mitten, but it's onto the stick of Strom. Sent the rest of the way. Brendan Booty will give chase, but Nick Anderson the first one there. Backhanded, trying to get it out to the line there where the Raiders unsuccessful. Here is Lee. Cuts his way to the middle. Snaps it on goal. Deflected up and above the net, but it's picked up by Brackett. Engineers gaining possession in the offensive end. Klee through a screen. That one missed the net on the far side. Here is LaBelle. He turns it over, but a pass there by Brackett was whiffed upon. The Raiders nearly had a bit of room to move there in the Engineers defensive end, but instead it's LaBelle regrouping through center. LaBelle on the far side. His pass didn't connect. Now it's Brackett. He's at the end of a long shift. So he'll flip the puck in deep and go for a change. We're under 10 minutes to go in period number 3. The Engineers with an onslaught. 3 straight goals here in this third period to tie the game, take the lead, and extend the lead in short order. A game that was 2-1 Raiders after 40 minutes of play. Now the home team in the lead, but the Raiders far from done. Manderville had possession. It was knocked away with a good stick play there by Laurie Surtee. Here is Evans. Ahead for John Beaton, who will get around the defender, Irwin. Beaton hits the brakes. Looking for a trailer. He's got one in Evans, who knifes his way through the middle. Looking for the trailer once more. That was Strom. The pass wouldn't connect. Young was able to knock the puck ahead off of his skate to his stick, but unsuccessful in doing so. The puck whipped into the bench of the Engineers, and that will stop play. With 9:04 remaining here in period number 3, the Engineers 3 goals in short order here in period number 3 to take the lead and extend the lead. It's 4-2 RPI. We'll step aside and be back with more after this. You're watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN+.
What do you expect from that first job out of college? Working your way up from the bottom? Instead, how does this sound? Starting in a guaranteed leadership position with people who look to you for guidance because you're trained to give it and make important decisions in critical situations. Skip entry level. Decide to lead as an Army officer.
It's the most historic conference in college hockey. It's a battle night in and night out. ECAC hockey, an iconic conference home to 12 of the most prestigious universities and programs in the world. and showcasing the best student athletes in the sport. Top-notch facilities and arenas, incomparable traditions, passionate fans, alumni who go on to become elite professionals, leaders, and champions. ECAC hockey, there's no experience like it.
For the love of the game, the team, or for two, Recovery Sports Grill. At Recovery Sports Grill, you'll always have courtside seats to exciting live sports coverage. And for outstanding loyalty perks, join our Hall of Fame, Recovery Sports Grill, serving up smiles every season.
9:04 remaining third period here in Troy. 4-2 Engineers over the Colgate Raiders. One-timer, they score! Anthony Stark from the point after a face-off win. Blasts it through Jack Watson, and moments after the TV timeout, the Colgate Raiders have cut the deficit to 1. It's now 4-3.
Well, obviously, this is a setup playoff, the face-off. They win it back, and that is just a hammered shot by Anthony Stark to put it by Watson to get this game within 1.
Anthony Stark, the senior out of New York City. That one took a deflection. I think it might have hit Dylan Davies on the way through because Watson kind of moved around a bit. You could see it deflect a bit and Davies turn around. Well, either way, after a face-off victory, it's now a 1-goal game. You could tell that the Raiders weren't going to go quietly, and that is exactly the case. Smolinski sends along the far boards. Now Booty tried to A-frame and chip it out. On a second attempt, it's knocked back out to center. Tommy Bergslund right over the RPI logo at center here at the Houston Fieldhouse. He slowed it down. Now the defensive unit for the Engineers will start their own breakout. Strom for Smolinski, and Smolinski in deep. On the far side, Matt Verboon was able to get body position around Smolinski and get that puck in. Now it's Jack Brackett. With speed, his pass gets deflected off of the one-handed effort there by Beaton. Beaton, Johnny on the spot on the forecheck, able to create a few problems there in deep, but this time it's Stark, now on the near side. His pass to Ross Mitten got deflected as Laurie Surtee stepped in and laid the body. A shot from John Evans from the near side was turned aside relatively easily by Carter Geilander. And now the Raiders will start their breakout and flip it in on Jack Watson, who will glove that one down and hang on. And a couple more shoves being shared in front of the net. We haven't seen a full, I don't want to call it brawl, but a real explosion of emotions, so to speak. But these two teams definitely don't enjoy each other's presences, especially in front of their respective nets.
No, especially, well, after the whistle. You know, there's always a shot being given or a shot being taken. And I don't mean on net.
I was checking the statistic just to make sure because that one's not snapped on goal. Watson makes the save, turned over. That one's sent over the top of the net. Never mind, I'll share that one later. Agnew tries to bump it around Manderville. Mashey comes down to help the cause. Now it's Jacob Lee who will get a bit more position, flip it to the line, but it's kept in by LaBelle. Sent low for Manderville. To the trailer. Here's Young. Shot save made by Watson on the blocker. The rebound flipped all the way down. This one will roll and be icing as Pearson Brandon will stretch the strides a tad and nurse the icing call out. So the faceoff will come back in front to Watson. That was Colin Young who got that shot on Jack Watson. Good play in the offensive end by Manderville to find him as we take a look at the replay.
Yeah, and you know what? Since that TV timeout, Colgate's come out and taken the momentum away from RPI and got RPI back on their heels a little bit here.
So the point being made just previously as Dave Smith is going to use his timeout here. We'll give a look at the out-of-town scoreboard. First, Anthony Stark, in 106 games played coming into tonight, 7 assists, 7 points, 0 goals coming in. That was Anthony Stark's first career goal, and I saw them go and grab that puck from the net behind Jack Watson. I wondered if that was the case. So the senior Stark, who I guess you could say a defensive specialist in that regard, gets his first career goal as a senior. So congratulations to him nonetheless. A hard-fought first goal there for Anthony Stark, and it's an important one here in this one as it's now 4-3. His team trailing by 1. We'll take a quick look at the out-of-town scoreboard. Dan Fridgen, the Yale Bulldogs, who you mentioned towards the end of the first half were starting to gain a little bit of momentum. Still leading Merrimack right now, who is number 6 in the pairwise. That score is 3-2 halfway through the third. Remarkable what they're doing.
Yeah, Keith Elaine had mentioned, I think they had some injuries early, and they really couldn't find their footing, but there was a couple of games there right before Christmas where they had some success, and they seem to have carried it through here to the new year.
Elsewhere, Cornell all over Union down the street. That score is 6-1 with about 15 minutes remaining in the third. Princeton leading Harvard 3-0. That is halfway through the third as well, so keep an eye on that one. That could be another possible upset. And at the end of 2 periods, the Quinnipiac Bobcats leading Dartmouth. That score is 3-0. Anderson steps in after a faceoff win, centering a pass. Now to the trailer. That shot missed the net on the far side. Max Smolinski tried to send a saucer pass through the middle, coming back and grabbing in his booty. His only option is clearing the puck in deep. Geilander will keep it on going. Glaceman to the line. Smolinski was unable to keep it. Both Rand Pecknold of Quinnipiac and Reed Cashman of Dartmouth involved in the coaching staff of the United States under-20 team that just took part in the World Junior Championships, that U.S. team coming in third. Some guy named Connor Bedard in Canada finishing with the gold medal there in the World Juniors.
Yeah.
You think he might be something? That one's flipped out of play. You think that kid might be something there, Coach?
Oh, yeah, definitely. but something's on my mind here. Do you remember that last play? You got Glaceman going to the net?
Yeah.
And the RPI player kept his stick down and Glaceman couldn't get the shot?
That's what I missed what
and
happened.
You know what?
Yeah.
That's the exact same thing that happened in the first period, that the Colgate guy got called for hooking.
If you're going to call it, you got to call it both ways.
Be consistent.
Yeah.
All he did was he kept his stick down on top of Glaceman, and then Glaceman, as he tried to shoot, couldn't work through that, and that's why he ended up spinning out against the boards.
It's a very interesting note and frustrating with whichever side is LaBelle's shot. Shouldered away there by Watson. It deflects up and goes out of play. That's a frustrating thing. I can only imagine, and I'm going to defer out of the two of us that are coaches, to coach a game in which the referees aren't calling it both ways. I can only imagine the frustration in that sense.
Well, like I said, when it happened down against Colgate, it was just a matter of strength.
Right, oh yeah.
And that was the same thing there.
An interesting note, we'll keep an eye out for similar plays like that down the stretch, as it appears as though this game is going to go right down to the wire as it's knocked out and out to center there by Booty. The chopped up ice here at the Houston Fieldhouse will slow the puck down enough to where the Raiders will go back and have to regroup. No icing, as it never got there. Here is Colton Young, tries to knife his way around Agnew, unsuccessful in that pursuit. It is forced back in, so Strom will regroup as Mazzotti was looking to bust around the defensive line and get a shot in.
Oh, and by the way, RPI scored on that power play.
Oh, an interesting little addition, and the plot thickens, and an incredible play that's knocked away by Watson. The rebound still loose. Anderson tries to keep it in at the line. Massey is able to force it over center. An incredible 4-player effort and a kick save and a beauty from Jack Watson. Not to be outdone now. Here comes DePaulo. A pass for the trailer. Verboon is broken up, and a toe drag by Hallbauer leads to a 2-on-1. Here is Hallbauer in. Save made by Geilander. A kick save with the left pad to keep the deficit to 1.
Boy, Bitten's going to be kicking himself. He ended up going behind the net with the puck sitting right in the blue paint on a great save by Watson. Nice passing play by Colgate as well. Good defensively by RPI. They get away with one there.
Davies will whip it in deep. Under 5 minutes to go here in the third period. Engineers with a 1-goal lead. The game was nearly tied, and the lead was nearly lengthened in roughly 30 seconds time just now. But it remains a 4-3 game. McGuire will send it the rest of the way. Alex Young will give chase. Evans on the near side, flipped out to the line. Berglund was unable to keep the line. That will be an offside call with 4:27 to go in the third. Let's take another look. This is at the chance for the Colgate Raiders in the passing play. What a beauty.
Yeah, it is. Tic-tac-toe. Watch 17 here. He goes behind the net, and the puck's out in front.
It really is remarkable. That was Mitten who started it and could have nearly been at the receiving ends. This Raiders team has a lot of talent on their top end, though, offensively.
Yes, they do. But, however, that was a great save by Jack Watson.
Well, that's just it. As good as the passing play was, the reason that the Engineers still have a lead is because the save was one iota better. Remarkable play nonetheless. Blocked in front there by Strom as Manderville was bearing down on him. Beaton will backhand it to the line. Gloved along there by Irwin. Beaton tries again. Raiders hold the line again. Brought in by Young. Here is Bergsland. Back for Colton Young. Tried to center a pass. It deflects off of Watson, and the shot from Manderville. That one got blocked before it got to the net. Bergsland now. The Raiders maintain the pressure that they've been putting on the Engineers since after the TV timeout. RPI is able to exit the zone as now Brackett brings it in on the near side. He takes a chop there from Bergsland and will go for a line change with the rest of his group. A couple of, we'll call them interesting plays there in the Engineers' defensive end lead to that breakout.
Wow. That's all I'll say.
Anderson on the far side. He has his stick lifted. It's chopped back out to center. The rolling puck will head towards Carter Geilander. He will cover up with TJ Walsh bearing down on Belpedio. So a face-off will come in front of Carter Geilander's net. Now 3:03 remaining in the third. Engineers a one-goal lead, but the Raiders, you can just feel the pressure kind of building as Colgate is playing very good hockey down the stretch.
Well, RPI just has to make sure that they're keeping the puck moving forward, keep it in the offensive zone as much as possible. They don't need another goal. You know, work the puck along the boards, take some time off the clock. And you can look at Donnie Vaughn probably pulling around the 2 to 2, minute and a half, depending on where the puck is at the time.
We know the Dan Frigen rule of thumb from the first half of the season is you have to do it based on the feel of the game, but keep an eye there. We have probably 30 seconds to a minute, but we'll have to wait a bit longer as Colgate was unable to gain the center line. They have iced the puck, so the faceoff will come back in front of Carter Geilander's net with 2:53 to go. Every little bit helps when you're the team in the lead. The faceoffs in this one, 31-28 in favor of the Raiders. Shots on goal right now also 31-28. That's an interesting little oddity there. Don't see that very often. Mazzotti will lead in for the draw for the Engineers against DiPaolo. This time it's won by Mazzotti. Mashi will take it into the corner. An emphasis on keeping the puck low, it appeared, but he turns it over. Here comes Mitten at the center line. He'll flip it in deep. Geilander remains in his net for the time being. Klee tried to clear, stolen away by Verboon, but Klee followed the play very well. Battle on the far side board, snapped through the crease and wide. Stepping in from the point there is Irwin. Verboon battling for possession. Mitten on goal, that's blocked, loose in front of the goal, swept out of harm's way on the defensive play there by Alti Nikkanen. Nikkanen is now able to steal the puck as the pass was intended back for Reed Irwin. Irwin lays the hit on Nikkanen, but he's able to clear the puck around. Long pass ahead for Verboon, but the play was offsides as he was a step or two ahead as Jack Agnew was the first one on defense coming to grab him. The play is offside and the faceoff will head all the way back down. A big play in a matter of inches that will get the Engineers a big offensive zone draw.
Interesting that comes all the way back down. Usually that happens when it's intentional.
My only guess would be it was ruled that the defenseman that was making the pass, I guess, was behind the blue line. That's my only guess. The Engineers will take it nonetheless. A face-off win on the forehand there by Lee. Hallbauer's passing attempt there got chipped up and out of play. It hit the netting above the Engineers logo there in the end zone at the Houston Fieldhouse. So they'll do it again, same spot. A few more seconds off the clock. It is Young and Lee wins the draw once again. Lee now in the near side corner, grabs possession, fighting off two maroon sweaters right now. He is getting some help from Jack Brackett, who was helping in that regard. Hallbauer keeps it in at the line. He's playing the offhand right now. He and Agnew pair together. The Engineers killing some time off the clock. They've now killed 20 seconds since that faceoff. The Raiders do exit the zone. It's deflected around Hallbauer by Manderville. To the bench goes Geilander. Hallbauer had grabbed possession unbeknownst to the Raiders netminder. He will remain on the bench, so the empty net here at the Houston Fieldhouse with under 1:30 to go as the Raiders look to tie the score. With speed, here comes Simon LaBelle working on Klee. LaBelle to the point. Anderson looking for a lane. Here is Verboon. Fakes it and he rang it off the near side post. Beat Jack Watson over the glove clean as Klee is able to steal. Chip it high off the end glass. This one will bounce its way down and be icing against the Engineers as Verboon and Mashie were racing stride for stride. And Coach Matt Verboon came that close to tying this one up.
Wow, he got a great shot away, and it hit the near side post and went out the other side. And this game's sometimes a matter of inches.
With the Engineers in the lead by 1 and 1:01 seconds remaining. After the icing against the Engineers, Don Vaughn will take his timeout and draw up a prospective face-off play. Now the Raiders got back into this one on a goal from the point that was scored from Anthony Stark. So again, a face-off win has already paid major dividends for this team. The scoring, if you're just joining us, Alex DiPaolo gave Colgate a 1-0 lead at the 7-minute 28 mark with his 7th goal of the season. Max Smolinski tied it on the power play, but Ethan Manderville answered with a power play goal of his own about halfway through the second period. It was 2-1 coming into the third, but Jacob Lee would score to tie the game at 2. Austin Heidemann would score on the power play. That would make it a 3-2 game, and then Heidemann would score once again, separated by about 2.5 minutes, his 5th and 6th goal of the season respectively. That made it 3-2, and then the second goal made it 4-2 with the goal from Anthony Stark, his first career goal as a senior in game number 107. That made it 4-3, and Coach, that's where we stand, a face-off play. What are you looking to do here?
Well, you're just looking to get it back, win the face-off, and then send guys to the net, take the eyes away from Watson, look for one good shot.
Keep an eye on number 14, Manderville. He has a goal in this one right in front of the net, and at 6'4", you have to imagine he is going to find his way to the front of the net one way or another.
If I'm Lee, I'm going forward with this because he's a right-hand shot, and there's nobody in behind the centerman that had stopped that puck from going out.
Lee ended up going backwards, but he won it nonetheless. Klee, his clearing attempt gets out to the line. Lee will one-hand it along. He's got an empty net in front of him, and he scores! Jacob Lee, the empty net goal. He won the face-off back. He capitalized on a bouncing puck that exploded on Nick Anderson, and Jacob Lee's second of the night gives the Engineers the much-needed insurance.
So much for going ahead on the face-off. Well, he went ahead, but it was after the face-off. But, you know, right now, this defenseman, Anderson, he's being aggressive on a bouncing puck, which you never want to do, and it goes right over his stick.
There you can see from the angle, Jacob Lee, the stick-to-itiveness. He was able to force it over the line and then force it around Anderson. And the empty net goal with about 45 seconds left. Geilander will go back to the bench, so Don Vaughn and company will try it again. This time it's TJ Walsh. He ends up going down. No call, said he did it on his own. Centering feed in front, nobody home. This one will roll to the line but be kept in by Irwin on the backhand. Here is Reed Irwin into the corner. Young goes all the way back for his brother. Now here's Verboon. Top of the circle, he shoots, and it deflects and goes out of play on its way to the net. So the face-off, a big decision based on what it deflected off of. It appears it will remain in the defensive zone. Was that a save by Watson? I missed the deflection.
No, I think it went off a RPI player's stick.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it went off Watson at all. Here's another look at it. Right over, and I'm thinking it's 19 stick. Yep. It's off of Mazzotti's stick, off the shaft.
Well, there you go. Pop tie up in the air. This one will get over the line on its own, gloved back. Lengthwise, Lee nearly had a whack at it. Booty tries to knock that one free. 6 seconds to go. Battle in the neutral zone ensues. Alex Young has it. He'll take it back to the neutral zone, and time will run out. One last shot on Jack Watson, knocked away after the horn, and the Engineers begin the new year at the Houston Fieldhouse with a come-from-behind 5-3 victory over the Colgate Raiders. The team that came in tied for third in the ECAC Hockey Conference into tonight. Much needed points in regulation for the Engineers, and a reason to drive home happy for the fans here at the Houston Fieldhouse.
Well, obviously that's just what they needed, some home cooking, and they came out, they were behind, but they did a great job sticking with it. Capitalized on the power play. Here's another look at the goal. That was Jacob Lee taking that puck to the net, going 5-hole on Gylander. He opens them up right here, going from the forehand to the backhand. Goes 5-hole.
Lee, number 5 on the season for him, much needed for Jacob Lee. And then the Engineers, after tying the game, were able to take the lead, and this was on the power play.
Yeah, well, this is just a nice play by Heidemann. He just flips it up at the net. Not a lot of mustard on it, just elevation and towards the 4x6.
Austin Heidemann, also goal number 5 for him on the season. You can see the whack at it by Mazzotti and Maschy, and watch the extra little time there taken by Heidemann. He's able to put it past Carter Gylander, unhappy by that one, and then Austin Heidemann said, well, 1 goal is good, so 2 must be better. And that's exactly what he did, putting it over the blocker of Carter Gylander for his 2nd goal of the game and 6th of the season.
Yeah, well, this was a great shot. Short side. And here's a face-off play.
Face-off play that leads to the goal from Anthony Stark. First career goal for the senior in game number 107 off of a face-off win. This, at the time, made it 4-3 and got Colgate right back in it. We saw chances on either side to either tie the game or extend the lead. And eventually, after the puck exploded on Nick Anderson, and ended up being the latter as the insurance goal on the stick of Jacob Lee.
Yeah, and Lee does a great job here picking the top corner on the empty net.
And that was just about all she wrote. So Jacob Lee, 2 goals in that one, 2 goals for Austin Heidemann as well. The win in net to Jack Watson. He gives up 3 goals but makes 25 saves en route to win number 8 on the season for Jack Watson, now 8-9-1. The loss in net to Carter Gylander. He gives up 4 goals in total, does Carter Gylander, makes 27 saves. He is now 9-9-2. With the victory, the Engineers move to 8-11-1 on the season. They are 3-6 in conference. They are also now 8-2-1 in the friendly confines of the Houston Fieldhouse, and they'll have a chance to add to all of those totals tomorrow in just under 24 hours time. The Cornell Big Red are in town to take on the Engineers tomorrow night. If you can't join us, again, go to rpiathletics.com for tickets and more info. Then Dan Fridgen and I will have the call right here on ESPN Plus. We sure hope you'll join us then. The final score for the final time, it was the Engineers over the Colgate Raiders by a score of 5-3. For everybody working hard behind the scenes, and for my broadcast partner, the coach Dan Fridgen, Dan Ball saying thank you so much for watching and good night. You've been watching RPI Engineers Hockey on ESPN Plus.